It is customary at commencements to have student speakers who are selected to provide reflection and words of wisdom to their peers. Today we have representatives from both undergraduate and graduate programs. First, it is my pleasure to introduce Patrick LaClair, who will be receiving his degree from our master's program in education today. Pat is a Latin teacher at Lamoille Union High School and is from Montpelier, Vermont.
Thank you. I'm going to take this off way, and I'm going to say, first off, Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. If we can have a round of applause for them. That is in the place of a card for my mom. So, and to undergraduates who are graduating today, I just want to say this is not the end. It can be just the beginning. You can take 5 or 10 more years of college classes. It's excellent. And of course, I want to say thank you to all of my professors and my peers from the graduate education program here at St. Mike's. A typical evening class would have us talking about the ideals in education and how we were going to put those into practice in our classroom. Everyone was engaged and the learning was extremely relevant to our work. So it was a common experience for me to leave class in this happy haze of optimism, ready to make big, inspiring change at my school the next day. But the truth is that teaching is like riding a train while playing tennis on top of it. Except it's not like a normal commuter train. It's one of those magnetic levitating trains going 200 miles an hour. And it's not normal tennis, but you have 20 balls, and one of them's a bowling ball, and your racket is made of Jell-O. Which is to say that in teaching, like in many other careers that you're going to be going into, things happen fast. You can lose sight of what's important. Sometimes you wonder if you're on the right track. You may not necessarily feel like you're always in control. Sometimes you're just standing there trying not to get hit as things are falling around you. So it was a vexing experience to learn about the ideals of education and want to make that big, inspiring, idealistic change, and then go back to where I worked the next day and find out that I worked in a school that was sometimes a little far from those ideals and was sometimes a little resistant to change. And on some days, indeed, it seemed like there was no time at all to even think about those ideals. Instead, I had to deal with the daily issues that come up, my 12,323 unread emails in my inbox. Most of it's spam, I hope. And the copier would get jammed. And I had this stack of quizzes that just kept on building up in my desk. And that's just the normal, everyday part of my job. I didn't even think about the unanticipated things, like the day during class I pulled up the projector screen and there was a neatly drawn phallus on the whiteboard. And all my whiteboard erasers were missing. And all of my whiteboard markers were taped together. So it turns out that I didn't have a lot of time in my day to make that big, inspiring, idealistic change at all. And I'm not saying that to bring you down or to make you feel like life is a long slog through petty yet all-consuming personal concerns. Although sometimes it feels like it, but really it's not. The point that I want to make is that being the change you want to see in the world is hard. And it's hardly ever glorified in the way that it should be. And it's rarely something that we're given the express time and space to do. Instead, making that big, inspiring, idealistic change tends to feel more like making normal, everyday, small actions. Which is why it was a little bit of a relief for me to go to graduate school or to go to a faculty meeting after school and find out that there were a whole bunch of inspired, optimistic people out there as well. And then we were all making these little daily actions. We were all making our students welcome in our classes, greeting them every day, asking them how they were doing. We were all inspiring our shy students to have the confidence to speak up, and our confident students to have the skills to speak out and make change in their own right. We were helping students embrace their creativity and their spontaneity and find out who they were. We taught them how to be smart consumers of information, how to identify bias, how to identify privilege, and how to step up when they saw injustice in the world. We modeled empathy and respect. So if this seems like it might be a metaphor for all of our lives, I think it's right. We're all here today in kind of this happy haze of optimism, and we're going to emerge in a world that is going to seem very different from that idealistic, optimistic place. It has plenty of social, political, and environmental problems that we need to confront. I'm sure you can name some. So it's worth trying to cultivate the perspective that you don't need to do a lot to do a lot of good. So I'll leave you with a quote from the great American singer-songwriter John Mayer, who says, "We keep on waiting, waiting, waiting for the world to change." It is bad advice. It's a bad quote. Don't take it. Because you don't have to wait. You don't have to have a fancy job. You don't need to hold political office. You don't need a lot of followers online. All you need is to maintain sight of this happy optimism that you have here today and keep the knowledge that all of your little actions with all of our little actions can make that big, inspiring, optimistic change. Congratulations. Thank you.
Each year, the senior class selects a colleague whom they respect and admire and from whom they